Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he has not ruled out further strikes on Hamas leaders following last week's attack in Gaza. He further threatened that they will not have immunity wherever they are. Speaking at a joint press conference with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Jerusalem, Netanyahu said every country has the right to defend itself beyond its borders. When pressed on whether the U.S. had any involvement in the strike, Netanyahu said Israel did it alone. His decision to target senior Hamas leaders in Qatar has drawn criticism from U.S. President Donald Trump.
Here in Israel today is a clear message that America stands with Israel. You stand with us in the face of terror, in the face of the incredible, I would almost say, Middle Ages lies that are directed against us, the rising anti-Semitism in the world, and the really the weak governments that are putting pressures on us because they collapse under the pressure of Islamist minorities and incredible vilification. The American-Israeli alliance has never been as strong as it is now. And the president has been an outstanding global leader. He's really transforming the world to better all of us. And I can again repeat what I've said time and time again. He's the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House.
These things that people are doing and these different countries are doing at the United Nations, first of all, they're largely being done because of their own domestic politics. Second of all, they're largely symbolic. They have really no impact whatsoever in bringing us any closer to a Palestinian state. The only impact they actually have is it makes Hamas feel more emboldened. It makes other elements like Hamas feel more emboldened. It actually has made it harder. It's actually served as an impediment to peace. And so we're going to continue to encourage Qatar to play a constructive role in that regard. We're focused because at the end of the day, no matter what has happened, these fundamentals still remain. There is still a Hamas, there is still 48 hostages, and there is still a war going on. And all of these things standing in the way of a better future for the people of Gaza and a peaceful end to what's happening now. So we're going to remain focused on what we can do next.
Meanwhile, dignitaries from across the Arab and Muslim world have gathered in Qatar in response to Israel's airstrike on Hamas leaders in Doha last week. Qatar's emir accused Israel of trying to derail Gaza's ceasefire efforts. The emir also said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dreams of turning the Arab region into an Israeli sphere of influence. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has said Israel cannot be a partner in security and stability in the region.
Whoever works diligently and systematically to assassinate the party with whom he is negotiating intends to thwart the negotiations. The third truth revealed by this treacherous attack on our sovereignty is that the Israeli Prime Minister, who boasts of having changed the face of the Middle East over the past 2 years, actually means that Israel can enter any place it wishes, whenever it wishes. He dreams of turning the Arab region into an Israeli sphere of influence, and this is a dangerous illusion. In light of Israel's continued aggression against Palestine and repeated attacks on Arab and Islamic countries, most recently Qatar, the extreme right-wing government in Israel cannot be a partner in security and stability in our region. This requires a decisive Arab and Islamic stance and intervention by the United States and the UN Security Council to stop these rogue practices by the occupation state, Israel. To the people of Israel, I say, what is happening now undermines the future of peace and threatens your security as well as the security of all the peoples of the region. It creates obstacles to any prospects for new peace agreements and even puts at risk existing agreements with countries in the region. The consequences would be severe, as the region could return to a state of conflict, wasting the historic efforts made to build peace.
In Gaza, Israel has destroyed another Gaza tower after issuing an evacuation notice. It is the latest in a series of attacks on tower blocks in recent days as the Israeli military intensified their bid to occupy Gaza City. This latest video shows the moment an Israeli airstrike targets a building known as Al-Ghafri Tower It shows two projectiles striking the base of the tower in quick succession before the building collapses into rising plumes of smoke.
They informed us of their intention to demolish the tower, so we ran out. This tower is safe. All the towers are safe. Israel's claim that these towers are suspicious is wrong. This is Netanyahu's goal, to push us south. There are children, women, sick people and pregnant women. This is unacceptable. What is happening is enough. The leaders of Hamas, the Jihad, the Popular Front and Fatah must make peace with the Jews. Enough. Every day we lose 200 martyrs and sadly no one is doing anything about it. We will not leave. We will remain steadfast in Gaza. We didn't leave in the beginning and we're staying.
Well, let's bring in international affairs analyst Dr. Marek Laskiewicz for more. Dr. Marek, glad to have you join me here on The World. What do you make of Rubio's rehashing of the fact that it was Hamas that provoked this war?
Well, essentially, America and Israel are very close allies. That's quite clear. Nothing is going to come out of the Qatar attack against Israel from America's side. Quite the opposite. America helped it because, after all, the attack went past the American air base, which is, frankly, for Qatar, almost useless. That's what it transpires. And the business of rehashing is the excuse for carrying on until presumably the goal of ethnic cleansing of Gaza and the subsequent annexation of more of the West Bank is carried out.
Now that you have made that statement, do you then think that Trump's criticizing Netanyahu is just mere posturing?
Yes, it's just posturing, yes. There's no way that attack could have taken place without America knowing, and indeed other countries. There's Jordan, Saudi Arabian airspace as well along the way. And they must have known. And quite clearly, America would have. So I think, yes, there's an element of posturing about it. The fact of the matter is Netanyahu is quite clearly unabashed. He said it quite openly. He's going to carry on missiling whatever country he likes. And that's what he's going to do.
And he said Israel is taking responsibility. In fact, he reiterates Israel takes responsibility for the Qatar attack. Rubio says Hamas must cease to exist. Doesn't this look and sound like a caricature of the peace negotiations?
Well, peace negotiations is quite unclear which side is to blame because they blame each other. But the peace negotiations at present are going nowhere. With the missile strike on Qatar, it's quite clear Israel's not interested in them. And Israel, for its part, has constantly blamed Hamas for refusing to agree. And so therefore, as things stand, there is no peace process in the immediate future. And all that's going to happen is that Israel is going to destroy more of Gaza, putting pressure on the Gazans to leave. This is part of its campaign.
Now, then, listen to this statement from the Qatar Prime Minister. It says, Israeli Prime Minister dreams of turning the Arab region into an Israel sphere of influence. Is there a danger here of the region becoming a war zone? I mean, tensions skyrocketing and dovetailing into something much more than what we're witnessing, just not a question of Gaza.
Yes, to go through the points. First of all, there's no way can be Israel in area of influence in the sense that Israel is a hegemonistic power. All it shows is Israel can do what it likes and missile whom it likes, but it has no influence over countries. Two, is there a possibility of this escalating? It all hinges what the Muslims reply. If they're just going to talk and waffle on, as has been the case, then Israel will carry on acting as it does, and therefore nothing will come of this. If, on the other hand, they take any of their options open to them, and there are several, then the situation, the tensions will escalate, and it may indeed become more of a war zone. It is unlikely to become a war zone as things stand because Israel, armed by America, is simply too powerful. It has to be borne in mind that the weapons Israel uses, thanks to America, are simply streets ahead of others, which is why, of course, Ukraine wanted American weapons too, and American intelligence is part of this. And so what we're seeing here is, unquestionably, there has been a quite open attack by a country which is not at war instantly with Israel, with the negotiations being carried out with previously Israel's agreement. So as things stand, it is possible that they will escalate, but I don't think it'll go to a war. But if they do absolutely nothing, then Israel will carry on as it's going towards the ethnic cleansing.
And just to add, U.S. agreement too, because Witkoff was in on this. But you talked about options. Iran's leader is asking Muslim nations to sever ties with Israel as the Arab Summit holds in Doha. This, and then let us in the options you talked about earlier. Do you think measures from the meeting will go that far? I mean, this far? What are your expectations?
I think they'll talk a lot. I'm unclear as to what they're going to actually decide, which is going to be a response of any worth. There has been talk about some sort of joint defense, what much use that is against American arms. The real positive ones that they could do is withdraw recognition from Israel. That would be a major blow for America and Israel having come this far. But Israel's made it quite clear it's just not interested one way or the other. It'll carry on. And the other one they could do is cease to trade with Israel. And this is what Netanyahu meant when he recently said Israel must become more self-sufficient. He anticipates the Arabs doing something. I am not so sure. When it comes down to it, the sheer impotence and the sheer inability of the Arabs to get anywhere with Israel for all these years in the sense of arriving at a two-state solution means that they're most unlikely to be able to actually, so to speak, get their act together and reply in such a way to make Netanyahu think twice before he missiles again.
So what's your sense of the meeting holding at the same time Israel and the U.S. are meeting in Jerusalem?
It's quite clear that the point of the meeting is to assure Israel that the President Trump doesn't have it in any way against Israel that they decided to missile Qatar. And moreover, it is implied, from what I've heard, that America will not stand in the way of West Bank annexations. So in other words, Israel can do what it likes. That's basically what it boils down to.
That's quite interesting and dangerous. Netanyahu claimed there is, I want you to listen to this very well. Netanyahu claimed that there is immense hypocrisy among those who criticize Israel over the strike in Qatar. Even though U.S. President, like I said earlier, criticized him on this, what do you make of Netanyahu's reference, use of the word hypocrisy, and Trump's criticism? We've talked about that, but what do you make of the use of hypocrisy in this whole saga?
Yeah, it's a common point of Israel that it feels that other nations do just the same. And you certainly can point, the USA certainly does the same. Recently, when it took out, when it, for example, attacked Libya, to give an example of many attacks it's carried out, it's by no means clear there was any justification at all for bringing down Gaddafi in the normal sense of the word. And therefore, Israel in that sense could accuse America of hypocrisy. But as for other nations, it's hard to see quite what he has in mind. He seems to imply that they support the Hamas strike, which is quite untrue, and that therefore anything that he does in Israel is correct from his point of view, and any criticism of it is just hypocrisy and wrong. Well, this is quite false. People have more complex views. Although no one supports the attack by Hamas, the Israeli attack is totally out of control, totally out of proportion, and totally without any mercy or pity as far as one can see.
And then,
It's just simply an attack made which is driven also by the propaganda that any criticism of it is hypocrisy.
and then, of course, like you said earlier on, while some are being dubbed terrorists, like in the case of South Africa, then who really calls who terrorist, and who determines who really a terrorist is? We'll leave it there. Dr. Marek Laskiewicz, international affairs analyst, for always your interesting analysis here on The World.